Okay, so this is the third video. So we've got our two frames attached and we've got this space at the end. Now this is the part that sometimes people find a little tricky, but what we've got to do is make a mitred seam across those two sections, and this is why these tails are longer than they need to be. So I'm going to try and do this sitting here, so let's see. So we've got right sides facing us, and what I'm going to do is fold this piece over so that it sits exactly on top here. So hopefully you can see. So this frame is sitting exactly on top of this frame. Now what we've got running along here is a perfect 45-degree angle. Now you might want to put a pin in there just to stop that moving. Now on this part, which is going to be our seam line, if you can see where my stitches end, so we've got a nice dark thread so you can see stitches end on both sides, and we've got this little space. Now what I've drawn is, I'm hoping you're able to see this, so even on this little ruler I've got a 45-degree angle, and what I've done is I've laid the ruler on the edge of the strip, and I've moved the ruler up so that it's lining up across here. And you don't need to draw this, but you can if you want. In fact, it's probably a good idea. And then I'm drawing that line, so that is a continuation of this edge, and that's where I'm going to sew. Now depending on how open weave your fabric is, I find it easier to sew from the outside in, but try it different ways. I'm just going to take the 1/4-inch foot off and put a flat foot on because I don't want it to be gathering up. So I'm going to sew along that pen line. So you can use chalk or whatever you wish to do. Now, I'm not sewing all the way in. I'm going to stop where those stitches start and finish, so that when I open it up, what we will have here is our perfect mitred corner. Now, if there's a little space there, it might just be that you need to add one stitch in, but that looks okay. Now I'm going to trim off the excess here, so I'm giving it about 1/2 inch. So I'm just using a pair of scissors for this one. Now for this section, if you open the seam flat and press it open, what we're looking for on this side is a perfect mitred corner. So that's lying at 45 degrees to here. Now if you start to sew at this side and sew out, don't forget those are two bias edges, and what can happen sometimes is that you will push the fibres away, and instead of this being a nice square edge, it moves out to a point. So if you can remember, sew from the outside edge in and stop where those two stitch lines start and finish. So on this seam, I'll turn it that way, it's easier to see, you're not sewing all the way off, you're stopping where those stitch lines finish, and that's what we're aiming for. So you can see already we've got our windowsill and we've got the side wall. Now whichever side you put these on, you have to do all the panels exactly the same. Now again, obviously this is just a scrap piece of fabric. if this was one of my panels, I will have labels this so I know which order. So repeat the same dimensions of this on all the panels, and then I'll show you how we can sash them together.